Hello and welcome to the Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. Make sure to find the Raptors Show wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe. And please rate and review the show. A reminder, we're streaming live on Sportsnet's YouTube channel and airing live on Sportsnet 360 Monday to Friday from 2 to 3 p.m. I'm your host, Will Wu. I'm joined by producer and co-host Alex Wong. It's been too long since we've been back in the studio. We took a mini all-star break of our own. We were off Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. But we are back. The Raptors are back tonight as well, taking on the New Orleans Pelicans. And, during our time away, we were able to bring you a couple special gifts. But, Alex, man, how was your time off?
Oh, it was great. It was great, just to get some time off, away from the grind. Nice to be back, though. Excited. Excited for the last 23 games of the season. I'm going to talk myself into this. Do you need to talk yourself into this push? Play-in push?
As we discussed on another banter pod that we released yesterday as well.
Now available.
Even when the Raptors in 2012 were doing absolutely nothing, and it was Jeremy Lin coming in and hitting a game winner, a historic moment for us Asians.
Yeah.
I was still conflicted because I'm always invested in the Raptors winning.
Oh, okay.
So yes, tonight's game against the New Orleans Pelicans is going to be a must-win.
Oh,
and
okay.
We'll definitely go through like what it's going to take for the Raptors to make the play-in, make a home spot in the play-in. Or
make a
avoid
home
the play-in.
spot in the play-in. Damn, man.
I know.
All right, let's drink this Kool-Aid, man. All right,
Yeah.
we'll drink
Also,
it.
by the way, we got a McFlurry ad coming up later in the show,
How are you teasing a promoted
which
ad?
is so. In the meantime, we have the
Siakam
swirl.
swirl.
For people watching on TV and YouTube, you can see it.
Yeah.
All right.
I already have mine. Yeah,
we are going
pregame.
to review this because in the meantime, we have this interview that we did with Gary Trent Jr. down at practice on Wednesday. And so we'll get to that, and then afterwards, I will be able to eat this McFlurry and give an on-air review. So let's get to that interview with Gary Trent Jr. Okay, we're down here at practice with Gary Trent Jr. So first off, it's right after All-Star break right now. Did you get a chance to go away a little bit, relax a little bit?
I took the time to go down to Miami. I was down there working out for about 3-4 days. It was cool. Get out the cold a little bit, put my toes in the sand, get in the gym in the heat, so it was pretty cool.
Did you watch All-Star Weekend?
I caught a little bit of the games. I watched Scotty a little bit. I watched the All-Star game a little bit, a little bit of the dunk contest.
Would you ever do three-point contests? Have they ever invited you or anything?
No, I haven't really got the opportunity. Obviously I would love to go win it.
Yeah.
That'd be the goal, but, the NBA, you got certain people, certain names, they want to be a part of it, so, that's how I go.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I know a lot of people are talking about the All-Star game. They wanted to see it more competitive. If you had an idea to make it more competitive, what do you think it would be? Because people are kind of complaining like there was no defense, although it's All-Star game.
Yeah, they complain about, non-defense, and they've been complaining. That's why they made the adjustment in the rules with the quarters and, the ending instead of, so it's more entertaining, it's more fun. But, people want to see them play hard on defense, and then some also people want to see them dunk and do crazy stuff they don't usually do in a normal game. So you're going to win and lose. You can't please everybody. You never can.
Yeah. No, I mean, I feel like it comes and goes, too, right? Because some games was, very competitive. I feel a couple years ago, Kyle Lowry was taking charges in the All-Star game. That's a first.
So 2016 year? What year was that? 2017? What year was that?
That was 2020.
2020? Oh,
yeah.
Man. Okay.
Pascal was in that game, too. I think Nick was coaching.
Oh, yeah. See, that's why he was on there.
Nick was like, hey, got to pressure the ball. I got to show me your Eagles.
Exactly. All that. That's why they was doing that.
All right. Well, listen, I want to walk through your season a little bit, right? So, you spoke about this, but in the offseason, you always try to come back with something new. When you compare it's more than a halfway point now, but how have this season met expectations for you, when you were working out in the offseason in terms of your preparation?
It's the same. Everything I was trying to do, coming in, obviously, handling a little better, obviously continue to shoot the ball at a high level. Still trying to finish around the rim, trying to get the percentages up, whether it's 2, whether it's 3, trying to get higher percentages than I was last year. You never want to come back the same. You always want to try to come back better and try to continue to play at a high level. That's always my goal. That's always what I strive to do. That's always what I try to do.
Right. Now, I think one thing watching this year, especially your approach on offense, you've been able to, over the course of your 3 years in Toronto, really get to your shot more and more. And it's not just the jumpers, too. You've been able to get to the basket a little bit more. But I feel like your mid-range game is kind of a little bit slept on. You're able to get that little mid-range off, even when it's heavily contested. What goes into that? And also, do you have that green light to shoot the mid-range? Because I think a lot of, coaches nowadays, essentially that's forbidden, really.
Yeah, you could say that. But, Nurse does a good job of, he lets everybody free flow. in a sense. He lets them play. He lets them do what they do. If you work on it, you can do it. But if you don't work on it, obviously don't do it. But really it's just how I structured and worked on my game, obviously with my father, even starting off early on, it was always mid-ranges and trying to finish around the rim and handling. When we first started out, he always told me if you don't have a handle, you can't dribble, you'll never even get to a shot that you're trying to get to anyway. So really just the count effort of working. But in my mid-range, I would say it's kind of slept on for sure. I've always been good in the mid-range throughout my whole career, my whole life, and just branched out. And as I got older and older and stronger, we started going out to the three-point line and just getting numerous reps on that as well, too. But, being able just to score from all three levels can really help you be dynamic on the offensive end, whether it's at the rim, whether it's mid-range, whether it's three. Guys are shooting 35+. You can even say it's another extended range if you want to add to it for some guys. So, obviously, just continue to work, continue to get better. And like I said, always add something to my game,
Yeah, well, I mean, I feel like, the way you started this season, you were at your percentages, if not higher. And then the last 2 months or so, I mean, I'm looking up the numbers. You're averaging like 21 points on very efficient shooting, 45 from the field, 40 from three, 90 from the free throw line in the last like 2 months. But there was that a bit of a dip in the middle there. And I'm not sure what exactly sort of went into it. I want to hear from your perspective, right? Because, Nick put you on that bench as well, and he also made some comments in terms about your defense. Like, can you walk me through what happened in that stretch? Because the last 2 months is sort of what we've come to know you as a player. What happened in that month of November?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm not even sure. I don't know what we were doing as a team or whatever was going on, but we were just trying to figure it out. That's what we always do. No matter the month, no matter the game, we figure it out. Again, you said I was going to the bench, and sometimes I was playing 25 minutes and 30 minutes, and it was up and down. So, that could be a little factor into it, too. But, again, any opportunity, any chance I get out there, I'm going to go out there and try to help this team win in any way, shape, or form, But to piggyback on what happened in November or whatever, I'm not sure. It's a long season, man. Everybody has their ups. Everybody has their downs. It's going to be some good, bad, and ugly. Just make it work.
No, I mean, I feel like you guys have been trying a lot of stuff this year, too. I think people were just kind of assuming, and I think this is probably our fault in the media, where it was like, it's the same team that we had last season brought back. You got one or two other additions, but for the most part, it's the same team. We just expect the same things to happen. But I guess, like, seasons don't really work like that. You got to, like, figure your way out through injuries and things like that. While you came off that bench, you were very productive in that role, just like you're productive in the starting role. Do you have a role that you prefer? Is there any sort of difference for you in your approach, anything like that?
No, I wouldn't say that. Obviously, as a kid and your dream is to start,
of course,
be an NBA, but obviously that's not everybody's fortune. That's not everybody's role. You got to learn. You got to adapt. You want to survive in this league, you got to be able to play any way, anywhere, 1 minute, 100 minutes. For you to be the first guy, you got to know how to be the last guy. So for you to do any of those things, you just got to play. You got to be a good teammate. Can't really worry about none of those things and, go out there and just be at peace. You feel me?
Did you ever get down on yourself during that stretch?
No, I wouldn't say down. Would I be mad or sad or obviously feel some type of way?
Yeah.
Of course. I worked my whole life for this moment. I'm going to continue to try to strive to be the best I can, no matter what the situation is. So really just, I wouldn't really say it was too down. It wasn't too up. I don't really ever get too up or too down.
Right.
Stay easy selling. Everything will take care of itself. Believe in what you believe in. Work hard. Be a good person. Everything should work out for you.
Yeah, I thought it was a big statement, too, because when you got that first start, when you got back to the starting lineup, it was against the Suns. You dropped 35. And after that, it's kind of like, okay, it's really hard to make another lineup change like that when you're putting 35 on the board. But, I mean, you clearly have that body of work, and, you've been able to, lead the team in scoring quite a few times as well. In terms of the rest of your game, do you feel like there are other aspects you would like to expand into or that you would like to showcase? Or, I mean, obviously everyone's got to play a role in the team, and clearly, you're the shooting guard, right? But at the same time, are there other aspects of your game that you sort of intentionally work on to sort of potentially, expand into that down the line?
Even just little different things, obviously little drills that are super small and tedious but can help in a long way. Just, for example, even when we're in shooting drills and I need to work on my passing and my playmaking. So I'm throwing different type of passes with my right hand, staying locked in with my left hand, trying to throw it overhead, just trying different ways to, try to get the ball out. Obviously, weaknesses are things you don't really get to showcase or work on. You got to extra do it as well so you can do that. But to piggyback on what you said was just really being able to play make, pick and roll type of thing. Really about it. So
I mean, that feels like the natural stuff for you, right? Because you're already like very established as a scorer right now, and teams are always going to start to double you. You know, I noticed, especially in that stretch in December, they were having you play as like the featured guy with the second unit at the start of the second quarter, start of the fourth quarter. They ran a lot of plays for you, and a lot of the times, just based on who was on the floor, they would like, you know, you come off a screen or whatever, and two guys would be on you, and you got to make the next pass. And you know, I think that those opportunities will probably continue to come the more you develop as a scorer, right? So,
hopefully.
I mean, I'm sure everyone's asking Nick this question. He's not really answering it, but with the trade of Jakob Poeltl coming in, right? Somebody's got to go to the bench eventually.
Somebody has to.
Do you know who that's going to be? Because right now we're talking Wednesday. The game is on Thursday. We'll find out tomorrow. But
man, who don't know? I don't know. I'm not sure. But again, anybody that come off the bench, everybody gonna be ready.
Right.
Everybody gonna be locked in. Everybody's gonna be looking in at the bigger picture, at a bigger goal of what we're trying to accomplish here, and that's win. So, you know, obviously somebody gonna have to go to the bench, and somebody's minutes is obviously gonna go down as well too, along with that. So, again, just go out there, roll with the punches, play hard. You know, be a difference maker. Everybody go out there, and we'll be good.
You know, that's the right answer. That's the right answer. All right, you know, I want to ask you about your dad as well, because he comes on this program like a decent number of times. You know, he likes us. I don't know why, but he likes us.
Talking. Anybody that put a mic in his face, he gonna talk all day.
Loves talking. Okay, well, yeah, because he's on the show a lot. Yeah. I want you to give us like the scouting report essentially on what he's like as a, you know, obviously as a dad, but also as someone who's been in your life very prominently. He's around all the time. I see him, you know, come to Toronto pretty frequently as well. What's he like, man?
He's crazy. He's funny. He's entertaining. He's exciting. It's too many words that you could put into life for him. But, you know, anytime he gets on these shows or he talks, he's obviously, you know, he talks from a parent's perspective. Yep. He talks from how he sees it, in a sense, outside looking in. So some of it can be, you know, a little gas. Some can be, you know, from just an emotional parent type of thing. But, you know, he's cool. He's super informative. He's smart. Yeah. He know a lot. Yeah, he put me on game on everything throughout the league, life. I wouldn't be where I'm at with him today, without him today, you know. So big up to my dad, you know. Shout out G. Trent Sr., man.
Yo, trust me, you don't have to tell anyone on this program, man, because every time he's on, man, people are always really thrilled and excited or whatever. No, I wanted to ask too, because for you growing up, right, you were probably in a lot of NBA locker rooms.
For sure.
What was that like? You know, what was some of those experiences you remember being in those rooms? Because I mentioned this a few times on the program, but I listened to KG has his own podcast, and he always asks about, you know, how little nephew's doing up there, and he's talking about you.
For sure.
Right. So what was that like growing up in NBA locker rooms?
To be honest with you, it was motivating. No matter what I was doing, no matter where I was going, everything I was doing was preparing for those moments, whether it was going to see locker rooms, meeting coaches, seeing how they talking after the game, meeting numerous teams, numerous players, down to Yao Ming, being scared, meeting Kobe, having a chance to see LeBron, meeting different players before I actually got to the league. And then when I went to the locker room, I was just like a fly on the wall. I was listening to every single thing they was doing, what they was talking about, how they were getting treatment. We would literally go from the games of watching them at the Target Center and then go straight to the court. You know, it can't be no more motivating than going out there and seeing those guys do this and that. You're in the same building. You have a realistic chance of doing that, and you just got to put in the work. And that's all we did, and was really just stand with it. But again, it was motivating. That's all I could really say. Motivating. No matter what, I had to be there. I had to get there. There's even times I was telling my dad, there was even players on the roster at the time I thought I was better than, even in high school. So I was always ready, was always focused, was always, you know, trying to get to this league and stay in this league. So.
Did you ever play like any of them one-on-one? I'm sure you played your dad one-on-one. That's different.
Yeah, I killed him since I was about 12.
Oh, 12?
12.
Oh,
12 years old.
I'm going to ask him about that the next time he's on the program.
But everybody else, no, I didn't really get the chance to play one-on-one with anybody else, but really just besides picking brains and shooting here and there, you know, I wasn't really too much, you know. Also, I was in college and tampering rules and stuff like that. So.
Okay, sure. Yeah. Not trying to get you in trouble.
Nah, for sure.
Yeah, I also noticed, like, something your dad always talks about when we ask him about you is he always talks about you as a brother, an older brother, right? Because you got a big gap between you and your younger siblings, right?
For sure.
And, you know, it's in a way, I mean, obviously they're your siblings or your brothers, but at the same time, like, you're their mentor, right? You're so significant to them. They're probably going to copy everything you do. What kind of example you want to set for them as an older sibling?
Just as an older sibling, I would just, you know, nothing basketball related, because, you know, obviously I can help them here and there, but if they need, but really just how to stay focused, you know, what to look out for, what to watch out for, just how to navigate through life. You know, that's really the main thing that I really try to help them with, down to everything, down to knowing where they live, down to knowing who they are, down to knowing their skin color, who they are when they walk around outside, how they're perceived, how they need to carry themselves, everything. So just everything a big brother's supposed to do. If they got any questions, comments, concerns, they can hit me up at any time. You know, just like brothers, we fight, play games, do all types of stuff. So yeah,
that's real.
I love being a big brother for sure.
That's real. All right, they're giving me the wrap-up signal. I'm gonna transition to rapid fire. So just give me some quick answers to these ones. All right. First one: what's the biggest misconception that people have about your game?
I'll say the biggest misconception people have on my game is that, yes, they'll say I'm a shooter. Yes, I can shoot. They'll label me as a shooter, but I feel like I am a scorer that can shoot. When you shoot the basketball at a high level from the three-point line, they just want to label you as a shooter. When I think shooter, I think J.J. Redick, Kyle Culver. I would like to say I am a scorer that can shoot.
Right.
For sure.
Okay. Next question here. Top 3 hardest.
And I have good defense, but go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was just going to say top 3 hardest players to guard at your position.
At the 2 spot?
Yeah.
Ooh, at my position. It's a lot of talented guys in this league, man. But if we want to start, I don't know if you want to comment 1 or 2, but I would say James Harden, and just with his ability to get calls and create space. I ain't even got my position. I got the hardest to guard for you. I could say Zion Williamson, same thing.
How does anyone guard him, man? I feel like people just bounce off of him. He's too strong.
On top of bouncing off of him and on top of that whistle that he gets, it's crazy. You know, it's probably going to be a foul either other time. He drives to the rim, you could call something. So that's crazy. And I would say the same thing with him and Embiid.
All right. No, those are pretty good. We're good. All right. I'm going to tell him that we're good. You know, I got to ask this, vintage or designer? If you got to only wear one.
What about vintage designer?
Is there vintage designer? I don't even know. Clearly, I
vintage,
don't.
There could be some vintage designer.
Okay,
He could be vintage designer for example, if a brand dropped if Chrome Hard or got a 1995 bag I might have. I would say that's vintage.
All right. You're the person to ask for this. Best with the aux cord in the locker room. I feel like everyone always asks this a little bit.
Everybody got different tastes in music, but I would say for good vibes, and you know, I would give it to CB. You know, he got the island vibe, so it's cool. Okay. I would say CB play the island vibes. All right. OG he be throwing the Weekend EDM in there too. EDM the Weekend, but it'd be like a remix. I'm not joking. Okay. Yeah, but it's his vibe though.
Yeah, OG's weird with everything, man. Speaking of weird, why you always wear the jersey backwards in practice?
Backwards?
And sometimes it's not even yours. Like right now, you got the number 8 on, man. You got Ron Harper's jersey.
Man, shout out Ron Harper Jr., man. But you know, I don't even know. I ain't even noticed I had to throw the wrong jersey. You
always put it on backwards.
This is just the one they threw me. I ain't even know it was backwards neither. Okay. I thought this was the right way.
All right. All right. Two more. If you weren't in the NBA right now, what job would you be doing?
If I was not in the NBA right now, I would probably still try to find some way to be around the game and still involved with the game. So if it's not coaching or playing, it would obviously be probably helping players get back through sports injuries, probably physical therapy type of thing that I would have been on. Exactly. In that type of field, you know, to still stay close to the game and connected if I wasn't fortunate enough to play it.
All right, last one, because your dad grilled me about this. Who is the GOAT rapper?
Well, first off, before I answer this, what did he grill you with? What did he say?
Okay. So I answered like early Kanye. I really liked early Kanye. That was the part of my life that I really was listening to the most rap. He came back at me and was like, "It's got to be Jay," and he pressed me.
He loved Jay-Z, bro.
He pressed me hard on air. Jay-Z. So I need to hear your GOAT rapper before we go.
My GOAT rapper, since I was a youngin', this was not when I came to Toronto. This is years before Toronto. Anybody that's went into a booth and composed music, wrote lyrics, tried to rap, to me, the GOAT is Drake. There's nobody that's better than him that can sing, that can rap, that can tap into unlimited music genres, to island vibes, to rapping, to singing, to all across the board. Nobody has done that. So anybody that's ever picked up a pen or pad, I honestly think Drake is the greatest ever.
Have you debated your dad about this? Because he pressed me when I said Kanye, which was a valid choice, I think.
Kanye is valid. You know, Kanye is cool. You know, he had the super early on. Kanye was going crazy.
Backpack, polos.
All that. Had everybody wearing them, too. So, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, Drake, he the GOAT, bro. Ain't nobody with him.
All right. Appreciate you. Gary Trent Jr. Good luck on the rest of the season.
Appreciate you. Love. Thank you.
All right, that was our interview with Gary Trent Jr. down at practice on Wednesday. So, yeah, he would not reveal who's coming off that bench. But, I mean, it's not a big mystery. We're going to see it, like, tonight when the Raptors play the Pelicans. But, yeah, and by the way, Raptors should have a fully healthy roster. Knock on wood. Hopefully it stays that way. But they'll have some choices to make. Anyway, what did you take away from that interview that we did?
That nobody on the team knows what happened in November when they slumped. Because when you asked him about November, he was like, I don't know.
He's like, I don't know what we're doing as a team, but we were just trying to figure it out.
I don't know what happened in November. Our season just fell apart. No, I think Gary obviously talked about Gary Sr. as well, who everyone's familiar with.
Of course.
You know, similar approach. Like they both have, I think, just great perspective when it comes to thinking about just their own game and their own life and their own career and stuff. Yeah. And like we talk about this a lot. I mean, like, how old is Gary? Gary's really young, still, like what, 23, 24, I don't know. And like for him, I think, you know, for other people, this could have been a very difficult season, a challenging season. And I'm sure, you know, he talked about it too. Like, you know, you want to be in the NBA to start, not come off the bench, but in a contract year where he's shifted different roles and, you know, a down season for the Raptors, he has kept it very even keel, and you've seen him turn his season around. So I think that's the main takeaway. And the other one is love the vintage or designer question.
Yeah. I threw that in there for you.
No, I appreciate that. That was great. Yeah, but otherwise it's always cool hearing him talk about just like growing up in like an NBA environment, being in the locker rooms, and all of that stuff is super cool too.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be a distinct advantage, right? I mean, the number of times, obviously, we asked him about his dad because everyone who listens to this program understands that, you know, his dad is, in terms of GOAT guests, he's probably the GOAT Raptors Show guest.
Yeah.
I would have to say.
I'll go with Keith Pompey, but yeah.
Okay, that's one time. Yeah. That's one time, man. That's like when Max Kellerman said Kawhi's the GOAT because of that one playoff run. I mean, like, yeah, he was the GOAT of 2019, but
Keith Pompey's our Linsanity, man.
Okay. I've never seen that connection made before, and it never will be made again. But yeah, I mean, you know, you could clearly tell like how much you know, his dad's influence like guided his whole sort of existence, right? And like yeah, even when I asked him about the question about like, you know, what would you be doing if you weren't in the NBA? He's like, I'd be in the NBA. Yeah, I don't care if I got to be Alex McKechnie and rub shoulders for people. I'm literally going to be in the NBA no matter what.
Yeah, so, that's always an interesting answer too, because
it's a real baller answer right there.
You know, you see guys ask about this and they'll say, oh, like maybe I'll be teaching or like, you know, be in business, do other stuff. But like, I guess true hoopers will always have that love of the game and want to be around. So the Go Rapper answered. It's I don't know if it did surprise me. I guess I'm not that surprised.
It's an age thing. It's an age
generational
thing. You know? Yeah, for your generation, obviously Jay-Z was. I wouldn't say. Was it undisputed? Was it undisputed?
You know, they used to debate Jay-Z, Biggie, or Nas. You know.
Okay.
You know.
Okay, but we know who won that one objectively.
Yeah.
You know.
But you know, Biggie didn't pass away. But you know, yeah.
Okay, but that's like that's Kawhi in 2019 again. No offense, but this generation,
Biggie to Kawhi 2019 is wild, man.
This generation, I mean, like, yeah, it makes sense that he would put it as Drake. Like in Drake, Gary, who's 24 years old, like in those 24 years of him listening to music, Drake has dominated like 10 of them at least. Maybe
because a modern day debate, I guess there's a lot of Kendrick Lamar fans. Right?
Sure, yeah.
And then I don't know who that number 3 is. J. Cole? Yeah, no. Let's not go there.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't think people listen for our rap tastes. But
Thames.
Thames is not a rapper.
I'm just naming people from All-Star.
Yeah, did you like Thames' performance?
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah. Elite singer, man.
Shouts to
singer.
Julie Black. Sang the anthem. But yeah, great interview. You did try to, you know, pry that information from him.
Yeah.
But
he wasn't giving it up.
We shall find out soon.
You know what? No, you know, this is my prediction for 3 hours from now.
Okay.
When the two of us are going to be sitting in the Raptors interview room, and Nick Nurse is going to come to the pregame, 5:45 scheduled, and I'm sure invariably the first question will be, you know, who's going to be your starting five? And I feel like Nick will still play a coy even by 5:45.
Yeah.
Because there is a distinct competitive advantage right now to not tip your hand until the very last moment where you have to.
Yeah, arguable, but yeah, sure.
You think he'll give us an answer like, oh, you know, I'm still deciding to see if OG's available, and I'm still deciding to see, you know,
I think you're gonna have to wait till about like what 6:30 for that starting lineup.
If I had to guess, yeah, I would say 6:30 instead of 5:45. So I wouldn't be surprised if that was sort of told to be kept under wraps.
But who would you be expecting to be the starting 5 tonight, assuming everybody is healthy.
Yeah, assuming everyone's healthy. OG is questionable, but I mean, he went through all.
I think
practice.
he's expected to play.
He's going to play
by all accounts.
He's going to play. Yeah, I mean, if I had to guess, it'd probably be Precious. Precious for sure is going to the bench with Jakob Poeltl coming back.
Okay.
Precious was obviously the starting 5 when we had injuries to the lineup, and then he was the starting 4 when OG was out and unavailable to play the position, but Jakob Poeltl was in playing the 5. So you saw that pairing, which I actually kind of liked. Okay. I wouldn't mind seeing more of that tonight, and I'm sure we will. But OG coming back now takes the 4 away from Precious Achiuwa. I think Precious can go back to the bench.
Right.
The tougher choice is which one of the backcourt are you going to demote? And let's be honest, it's not going to be Fred, just based on his position on the team and history with the team. It's not going to be Fred. He's never come off the bench ever since the championship. And then Pascal obviously is not going to the bench. That's undisputed. And then OG has also not seen time on the bench, I think, since the championship, right?
Yeah, since when Kawhi was around. Yeah.
Yeah. So that probably means Gary's going to the bench, if I have to guess. And I did pull up some numbers just to quickly preview this. So Precious has been more effective as a starter than with the bench, which makes sense. I think, clearly he's a guy where if you create opportunities for him, he's going to have an easier time scoring because he's not the most natural self-starter, although he does always try to get his own baskets. But I just think that he's just more efficient when he's set up. He's averaging 13.4 points and 9.4 rebounds as a starter compared to 9 points and 5.5 rebounds coming off the bench, and he's shooting 54% from the field as a starter compared to 46% off the bench. Now, of course, him coming off the bench, that was also at the start of the season when he was just struggling overall. So hopefully he's past that, because since returning from injury, Precious has been pretty good. So hopefully he's able to maintain that form for the second unit. I think Precious coming off the bench now also gives you the availability to play bigger, right? So you can have Jakob Poeltl being your starting 5, and then when Yak needs a breather or when he gets to the foul trouble inevitably, Precious can come in and be your 5, right? It's a lot easier to sort of sub back and forth with those 2 at center. Gary coming off the bench this season has been very, very efficient. Now, he only came off the bench for 8 games during that, December, November stretch that we asked him about in the interview. He's shooting 43% from the field, 35% from 3, and 85% as a starter, averaging 19 points a game. And then coming off the bench, he's averaging 18 points per game, so only 1 point fewer, but he's shooting 50% from the field, 44% from 3, and 78% from the free throw line. So, I mean, he's proven that he can be effective in that bench role. And, I think, by the way, the other option I didn't even mention was, do you potentially send Scotty to the bench? But given the reaction of when he got sent to that bench that one time against Cleveland and the post-game reactions to that, I don't think that they'll do that.
Plus, he's been playing well lately.
Yeah, no,
I think it makes sense when you look at the other players and I think Gary does make the most sense, and I don't think it's kind of a detriment to him. If anything, I think it's a compliment to him that you're able to get the best out of Gary, whether he's in the starting lineup or coming off the bench. Like, you're able to get his skill set.
Yeah,
utilize his skill set.
I think there's something too to be said about the second unit does just lack a score.
Sure.
In recent games, the Raptors have been able to get by with Chris Boucher hustling his way into some baskets, and that's not to say that Chris just scores because of hustle. I think there is a real talent to him, sort of getting into those opportunities. But if it's in a half court setting, Chris obviously isn't creating shots and isn't scoring enough, right? So you do need another option there. And you don't really have a shooter off the bench either, unless you're really playing Malachi, which I don't think is going to happen too much when everyone's fully healthy. So, yeah, I mean, it does make sense to some degree to bring Gary off the bench. I mean, I still don't fully like it. I like having, shooting in the starting lineup.
Yeah.
And if the starting 5, which is what I'm proposing right now, or I'm predicting right now, it's going to be Fred, Scotty, OG, Pascal, and Jakob. There's only 2 consistent shooters. Only one off the dribble shooter in Fred, who's not even shooting at the same percentage as he was last season. We've covered this to death on the season. OG's a catch and shoot standstill 3-point shooter. He's still working his way back from injury. We'll see what it looks like there. And then Pascal and Scotty are more inconsistent shooters, and that's something that Nick Nurse talked about at practice. Was I'm gonna need you guys to shoot the ball. We need to get their attempts up.
Okay.
So, yeah, you send Gary to the bench. I mean, you are lacking in shooting, but then again, I think Gary could still play at least 28 to 30 minutes, even in a reserve role.
Yeah, and that's the other problem too. I think I think we've seen just from the 3-game sample size from having Jakob Poeltl in the lineup, like what he's adding, but the lack of shooting is still something that really sticks out when you look at this roster, right? Because you can piece it any way you want. The starting 5 and guys coming off the bench. There's just not enough shooters on this team right now.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah.
Right.
But I think that's where you're going to need some more internal development from the likes of Pascal or Scotty in that front.
Or add a shooter this summer.
But, we did see Joe Wieskamp in practice. You see him? He walked through the facility with a gigantic suitcase.
Oh, yeah? What was in the suitcase? I don't know. His 10-day contract?
I'm assuming like all his relevant worldly possessions because he's obviously going to be signed through the season, right?
Yeah, Weezy's settling in, man.
That was a huge that thing that might have been oversized.
Oh, man. No, but I think your starting lineup prediction is probably the one that everybody is expecting, right?
Yeah.
I think it is the one that makes sense. So
I think Precious for sure goes to the bench. Who else goes to the bench with him is probably more of a TBD, but right now if I had to guess it'd be Gary.
Are you of the mind to do you want a set starting lineup moving forward, or are you okay? Because we've seen Nick before, obviously mix and match based on matchups, right?
Right. So we saw the platoon when Nick Nurse first took over. It was JV would start against the bigger centers, and then Serge would start against the smaller centers. And then afterwards, when JV was flipped Marc Gasol, we also saw flip-flopping. Eventually, though, Nick Nurse did settle with Serge Ibaka starting, or
coming
Marc
off the
Gasol
bench and Marc
starting, and Serge is coming off the bench. And we saw that for the entirety of the playoffs, regardless of what the matchups were. And then after that point, I don't think we've seen any consistent platooning.
Okay.
So I doubt it. And honestly, we talked about this, but we only have 23 games here the rest of the season to secure some sort of playoff opportunity here.
No more juggling the lineups. Set the lineup and let's go.
Set the lineup. Tell everyone this is your role, and you just got to buy in for 2 months.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear any more complaining about anything else, right? Let's just the goal is the goal. The trade deadline is over. You're here for at least 2 months. Let's stick to that goal. Let's stick to that plan and play together as a team. So whatever Nick decides to ride with, I would like to see that go forward.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Just dealing with a fire alarm situation here, but we're gonna continue soldiering on here.
Should we go to break? What are you supposed to do in this situation?
Well, I believe you have a promo read to do, and then when we come back, we can talk about expectations for the rest of the season for the Raptors.
Do they want a promo read with the fire alarm in the background? All right.
I believe it's gone now.
Oh, thank goodness. Just in time. Fires. So yeah, if you haven't heard already, McDonald's Canada is welcoming a new limited time item to its first ever collaboration with Pascal Siakam, which is the Siakam Swirl McFlurry. I've had it right here. I was able to consume a majority of this during
you gave it a 9 out of
interview.
10.
With Gary Trent Jr. I gave it a 9 out of 10.
Very high marks.
Anyway, the ad read continues. Inspired by Siakam's signature spin move and your Toronto Raptors team colors, the new McFlurry will be available at participating restaurants in Ontario for a limited time. To celebrate this collaboration, we'll be giving away a $100 McDonald's gift card and a Raptors hat signed by Pascal Siakam. All you have to do is text the code word that we are about to give you to 59590, and you will automatically be entered into this awesome giveaway. That code word is Siakam Swirl. 2 words. Siakam Swirl. 2 words. Text Siakam Swirl to 59590, and you could be walking away with a $100 McDonald's gift card and some autographed Raptors merchandise. And also, just go get this. This is very delicious.
Yeah, check out
I think this is the first McFlurry I've ever had, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Never had an Oreo McFlurry? Smarties? No McFlurry.
This is the Red Smarties one. It's pretty good.
No Sunday at McDonald's? None of that? All right.
No.
Okay. Yeah, but, I just text in just to confirm that it works. So.
Oh, yeah, you confirming that it works.
Hopefully I'll be showing up tomorrow with a signed Pascal Siakam Raptors hat.
Oh, well, if that happens, then we'll know we know that some corruption has gone on. But anyway, we are going to take that break. I've been your host, Will Lou, and you've been listening to The Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. Welcome back to the Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. I'm your host, Wim Liu. Continue to be joined by producer and co-host Alex Wong. There is no fire inside of OMP, at least in our side of OMP, and we're good to finish the show. So, yeah, what do you want to talk about?
The Toronto Raptors. Toronto Raptors have 23 games left. They are in 10th place in the East, 28-31 on the season, and Fred was asked the other day at practice about what he thinks of the team's chances of potentially getting into the top 6, obviously avoiding having to win 1 or 2 play-in games just to get into the proper playoffs. And they're 4.5 back of the New York Knicks right now for the 6th spot with 23 to go. And I don't think you would expect Fred to say anything else besides what he said. He said absolutely, absolutely that this is a realistic goal. So I guess the question for you today is that a realistic goal for the Raptors to get to the 6th spot?
Okay, so just to set the tone for what it would look like to get to 6. So right now the Knicks are winning 55% of their games. What that translates to at the end of the season is 45-37.
Okay.
For the Raptors to finish at 45-37, and they don't need to finish there because they do have the season tiebreaker over the Knicks. They beat them 3 times. The Raptors need to go 17-6,
right,
to reach the Knicks' current pace at the end of the season. For some context, the Bulls last year were the 6th seed. Their record was 46-36, so roughly exactly the same, right? For the Raptors to get to that, they need to go 18-5.
Right.
For the Raptors to even go 500, much more doable, 13-10. But of course, I think for the Raptors right now, they're not necessarily looking for the final record. They're looking to see how they match up with other teams. The tricky thing is to get out of this play-in picture, the Raptors would need to leapfrog a number of teams, 4 teams: Miami, Atlanta, Washington, and those New York Knicks. Miami and the Knicks are like 1 game apart, so it's hard to sort of even catch up to Miami. Basically, if the Raptors want to at least get that bye, or not the bye, but the first chance to advance in the play-in game.
There's value in the 7th spot because you basically get 2 shots. You got 2 shots if you need at home to advance.
Yes.
Which is actually very advantageous.
Although we did see Cleveland last year lose 2 of those.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, man, that's delicious.
Yeah.
And Evan Mobley lost Rookie of the Year by 4 votes. But
damn, we still hating.
Why not? But yeah, I mean, so obviously that 7th spot is the best one.
Yes.
The 8th spot is also way better than 9 or 10 because of the fact that you have 2 games to play for, right?
Right.
You need to win 2 games if you're in the 9-10, and you need to win 1 game if you're in the 7-8. For the Raptors to, get to 8. Right now the Raptors are 2 games back of Atlanta. They don't have the tiebreaker against Atlanta because the Raptors couldn't guard Trae Young for 3 seconds going full length of the floor for an alley-oop, which is just a hilarious way for the season to be decided if that actually were to matter.
We're really going to have a Griffin Bowl in April in the play-in?
Yeah, that's what we need to see is the Raptors play Atlanta
like
again.
DeLon Wright versus bench mob over here?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So some of the crucial games coming up in the schedule. What's one of the issues when you look at who the Raptors are playing? They're not actually playing that many teams above them right now. The key thing is they're playing Washington 3 times, including a back-to-back coming up next week, I think.
Yep, cancel your plans for that. It's gonna be big.
My plans are to cover every Raptors game, so my plans are going to be maintained. But they're going to have to play. They're going to play Washington 3 times. If they beat Washington 3 times, they should be able to put themselves in a great position to be above Washington. Okay, but then otherwise, the only directly relevant games are playing against the Chicago Bulls, which I mean, okay. They're sliding anyway, but that is important. But yeah, after that, I mean, it's not that easy though. Obviously, the Raptors have played all their games against the Knicks. They played 2 against Miami already. It's not 3. Did they play 3 against Miami? I think they played 3. But in any case, there's not that many games to directly make up that ground. And yeah, I mean, there's gonna be some tough games in the rest of the schedule.
Yeah, John Schumann from NBA.com, says that the Raptors have the 3rd toughest remaining schedule in the East.
Okay.
And they have 8 of the 12 games against teams right now with winning records that they're going to play are against the top 5 teams in the league. So they still got Boston twice, Milwaukee twice, Denver twice, Philly, and then Cleveland. Now, some of those games do come at the very end of the season.
Yeah, Boston twice.
Yeah, I think they got Boston twice and Milwaukee towards the very end. So who knows? Maybe the seeding will be decided by then. and that'll clear a path for the Raptors. Because if you look at the last 5 games of their season, they've got 4 road games. Oh, man, this is going to be fun. 2 in Charlotte, back-to-back, and then 2 in Boston, back-to-back. And then they host Milwaukee to end the season. Put that one on ESPN as well. So that could be a path, potentially, for them to kind of set their seeding with that last kind of 5 games in the season. But I mean, they've got another road trip coming, like a 5-game road trip that starts, like you mentioned, with the 2 games in Washington, and then they go to Denver, and then they play the 2 LA teams, and then they come back against Denver. Like, that's a pretty difficult stretch of the schedule. So, like you mentioned, like, I don't know. I don't think getting to the 6th or even the 7th is realistic for them. I feel like maybe the 8th spot should be their goal.
Yeah, eight seems to be the most.
Because you're asking them to go 17-6. Like, I have seen zero evidence of this team being able to go 17-6. And if you tell me the addition of Jakob Poeltl and them being healthy is what's going to change it, then sure. I can drink the Kool-Aid for a few days.
So last season, the one key stat that you were tracking, because you're a statistician.
What, the Svi?
Is Svi hitting 3 threes in one game?
Yeah, now
right?
I'm obsessed.
For a
now I'm obsessed with them
specialist.
not having won more than 3 in a row.
Yeah, right now the Svi 3 games is just 3 games in a row of winning for the Raptors. Because the Raptors basically need to win 3 games to every loss the rest of the way.
Right. So like 3 out of 4. Like 3 out of 4 during this stretch. And we just haven't,
easy, but
we just haven't seen it is the thing, right? That doesn't mean
you can.
That doesn't mean they're not going to play their best basketball now down the stretch. That's fine. Like, I understand the team is improved.
Yeah.
Right. And hopefully, knock on wood, it's full health the rest of the way. But I just want to see this team play good basketball for like a week.
I agree with you.
Without having some of those, like, whatever you want to call it. All those bad losses that we count, right? Like the road loss in Minnesota, the collapse right after the deadline against Utah in the 4th quarter. Like, without those kind of interrupting any momentum that they're trying to build.
Yeah.
Because it seems like every time they've tried to kind of build any sort of momentum, they just kind of have one of those terrible losses and it just sets them back.
Yeah, no, they got to really pull off a streak here. Yeah. I mean, I think the other thing too is it's not just necessarily how they do in terms of where their playoff seeding is. I mean, obviously that's the most important thing for right now. But I think the bigger thing is, like, can you evaluate how this core fits together?
Yes,
right?
like a bigger picture.
Because the bigger thing is for me, like, what's going to happen in the offseason. Even if they make the playoffs, they're probably going to go 1 round and that's it. You know what I mean? Best case scenario, they make round 2.
Yeah.
Right. So I think for me, it's like looking at the fit of this core. And I think that's been the whole theme of the season.
Yeah.
And at the deadline, they chose to supplement the core rather than break it apart. But again, like, you can really make that decision in the offseason. And again, I think the pressure should be on the front office once again. Just like it was leading to the trade deadline. But before we get to tonight's game and our bet reverse content, wanted to quickly touch on All-Star Weekend because we didn't have a show between Friday before All-Star Weekend started and now, which is Thursday. People have forgotten about the All-Star game, but
we haven't. Yeah.
We haven't. Yeah.
And we did a draft last Friday.
Yes, you might remember that draft from Alex rhyming all their names. Domantas Sabonis putting you in the bonus.
I don't know why that's so
His
funny.
game is legit, yo. His name is Bam Adebayo or something like that. I don't know, man.
Better than anything I heard this past weekend.
That's true.
On the intros. But we did the draft, and I believe you have the box score summary here. You basically Will destroyed me in this All-Star game fantasy draft.
Yeah, I believe so. We drafted our own teams, and then we were going to total up their total points.
Yes, and it was lopsided.
I believe the final score was 276 to 84.
Goodness.
In favor of my team.
Yeah, highlights for you was Jason Tatum.
Your high, okay, just to be clear, your high scorers in your team were Tyrese Halliburton at 18 points.
Yeah.
Lauri Markkanen at 13, who was your last pick of the starters.
Oh, man.
And Julius Randle, 11 points. Those are only 3 double-digit scores.
That's it?
For double digits.
How much does Shai Gilgeous-Alexander have?
Shai had 9.
Oh, because LeBron blocked him.
My team had Tatum, which had 55.
Yep, the MVP. Yep.
Donovan Mitchell, who had 40.
Yep, second best player.
Jaylen Brown, 35.
Yep.
Joel Embiid and Kyrie Irving with 32 each. Dame Lillard with 26. LeBron with 13 before he left the game with injury.
Yeah.
And then Ant, Pascal had 12 each.
No, you even had the better captain, man. You even had LeBron. You know, I had Giannis who dunked and then left the game 3 seconds in. But I did learn some lessons from this. Number one, just never draft Nikola Jokic because he does not care.
Or Luka.
Yeah,
Luka was panting heavily
while he was on the hot mic.
Man. He's like, watch me get this
No,
rebound.
but
I was like, man, damn.
Jokic was straight up. Jokic was straight up all weekend, being like, "Yeah, I don't care about this. Like, this is stupid," and he didn't really try out there. So, yeah, no more drafting bigs, and especially Jokic. That was one of my fatal mistakes.
Again, you had a stretch where you drafted Jaren Jackson Jr., DeMar DeRozan, Julius Randle, Bam Adebayo. Which, all due respect to DeMar, but he doesn't belong in this group. But
no,
how do you have JJJ, Randall, and Bam on the same team, man?
I think I just like how I wrapped them.
That's fair.
But that did not. So in future, if you're looking to draft, consult Will and do not consult me on this. That was a clear.
That's a tough one, man.
Clear winner was Will.
Draft ball hogs too, by the way.
Yeah, I know. Man, but the Tatum Mitchell.
A lot of ball hogs on my team.
Tatum Mitchell was perfect, man. That was perfect. I tip my cap to you. I had the poo-poo platter of All-Stars, man. But any other highlights for you from All-Star? Mac McClung, celeb game.
I always enjoy watching the celeb game because you get to see very random intersections of society that you would never see.
Like a little Guillermo.
Like, Albert Pujols just picked Simu Liu at half court. I'm just like, why would you ever see that, right? So, no, I enjoy the celebrity game, man. It's funny that they put the NFL players in there because they're like so good at their sports.
Yeah.
But then when they play basketball and like, who was it? DK Metcalf? He's a big deal.
Right. He's a
really good player.
He was good in that game, no?
He was good in that game, but then he got on the fast break and he looked exactly like Thanasis Antetokounmpo on the fast break.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, he's probably Giannis in his league, so it's a big difference.
The All-Star Weekend is perfect for Thanasis because I feel like he belongs in every event. Like he fits in the celeb game. He could probably sneak into the Rising Star still at this point. They probably won't even check his age.
Yeah, sure.
The skills challenge because somehow Giannis always brings his brothers.
Yep.
For the full experience, and 3-point shootout maybe not. So
I actually would love to see it, man. Could he do worse than Julius?
Would he do worse than Kevin Huerter, man? I feel like Kevin Huerter skated from the allegations, man. He was terrible.
Yeah, well,
no one said anything. That's the thing though. When you're terrible in a 3-point contest, I feel like you kind of get to slide. Whereas when you are bad at the slam dunk contests, like like Jericho Sims,
dunking with the arms in the rim. The
Twice.
First time he only got one arm in the rim. The other one he like banged his arm into the rim and then like tried to like crawl into it.
Yep.
And then the second one where he
basically
ripped the piece of paper and showed that 50, which looked like it was chewed into by a dog. I was like, oh man, that is not a 50, sir. That's not a 50, man.
Oh
but
man.
Anyway,
the funniest was there was just no reaction from any of the players.
Everyone was like, okay.
Even Pascal's like, I gotta turn off my camcorder for this, man. Need to save batteries. And now it's time for Between the Lines, brought to you by Bet Rivers. It's a whole new game. The Toronto Raptors are hosting the New Orleans Pelicans tonight. You can catch the game at 7:30 on Sportsnet 590, The Fan. The line is Raptors are minus 6.5-point favorites. Zion Williamson is out for the New Orleans Pelicans. OG Anunoby, Thad Young are questionable, but both expected to play. It's also Caribbean Heritage Night tonight at Scotiabank Arena. Will, who do you like? 6.5-point favorites, Toronto at home.
So every game for the rest of the season is a must-win for your Toronto Raptors. So yeah, I mean, expecting a strong effort from them. I think the Pelicans they're sliding, but at the same time, they still have a lot of players on that team that will play hard, that will scrap. I'm happy that we have Jakob Poeltl for this matchup because somebody needs to guard JV. Hopefully Yak can do it. If someone can put you in foul trouble, similar to his Lithuanian brother, Sabonis, JV could also put you in the bonus. So Jakob's going to have to watch the fouls. But if Yak avoids foul trouble here, I do think the Raptors will win. 6.5 points is a lot, though. And I think I will take the Pelicans.
Okay, so you're taking the Pelicans to cover, but the Raptors to win.
Yes.
Okay, well, let's go with that. That was Between the Lines, brought to you by Bet Rivers. It's a whole new game. And that's it for today.
That's it for today. Welcome back.
Welcome back. Yeah.
Big thanks to Gary Trent Jr. for giving us the interview once again. We didn't know who it was going to be, by the way, when we went to practice. We got down there and they told us it was going to be Gary or Precious.
Yeah,
so
it was a Squid Game situation.
If we could also interview Precious too, that'd be great because I already have all the interview questions filled out.
Oh, okay.
In preparation. So Josh, I know you're listening. Set up that interview. Otherwise, listen to the Banter Pod if you haven't already. We just interviewed our friend Trevor Louis
from Superfresh.
Don't know why he pronounced his last name Louis, by the way. His name is Loy. But anyway, we're done for today. I've been your host, Willu, and you've been listening to the Raptors Show on the Sportsnet Radio Network. Make sure you find the Raptors Show wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe, and please rate and review the show. Thanks again to producer and co-host Alex Wong, our board producer Lance Kennedy subbing in today, and Jennifer Rolnick for helping with the YouTube stream. And we'll be back to talk to you tomorrow.